world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
It's the final chapter of the college football playoff.
It comes down to this.
Miami's unmatched grit and tenacity through the postseason has led them home. The national title now within reach.
They are confident. They are battle-tested.
Undefeated Indiana, led by Chris Signetti and Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza, have the chance to take home their first title and claim college football immortality.
The most remarkable turnaround in the history of college football.
The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Thanks for listening to No Question About That. You can support this show by visiting patreon.com/NQATpod or in your Apple podcast feed. We do a backer show each week going deep dive into a topic related to United. Or if you don't want to part with your cash, an even better way is to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And now on with the show. Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Weekend Pod with me, Ed, and him, Daniel. We're going to talk about Forest 2, United 2. For that, how's it going, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks. How are you?
Doing all right, yeah. Watched the game yesterday with a hangover, which I didn't enjoy.
No, I mean, I found with hangovers as I've got older, I find that the hangover itself gets better. And I think that's probably because I'm drinking less. As in, obviously I'm drinking less than I did when I was a student. But I mean, when I think about what we had when we was a student, a lot of the time we had done a night's drinking before we went out. Yeah. So I'm not getting these crippling hangovers where I'm throwing up bile well into the next afternoon. But mentally, I'd say booze takes the biggest toll of, would I jump off something at this point? I wouldn't, but there is that sense of awfulness after a good night that I definitely didn't know existed when I was a kid.
Deary me. Well, there wasn't quite a sense of awfulness after Manchester United's performance against Nottingham Forest, but it was a little bit of a step back, I think.
I know what you mean, but part of it was a step back, but I also felt that there was some steps forward involved in this as well. So I know what you mean.
They didn't cave. I mean, I guess a year ago they might have caved and lost that game. I mean, they
wouldn't have even gone 1-0 a year ago. I mean, But I mean, the biggest step forward was the return to black shorts, not yellow shorts, which were totally
for sure
ruining what should be a good kit. They look much smarter in the black shorts. And has anyone else noticed, and maybe this is just me, that Forest's badge with the 2 stars above the tree looks like Elmo?
I didn't have thought of it like that. It's like Elmo. Yeah, all right, yeah. Yeah, they earned their 2 stars, I guess, but it is a very long time ago. 50 years ago, basically. But fair enough,
I remember being at Bristol City when we lost under Mourinho, singing "Where Were You When Turnbull Scored" or something.
Right.
With regards to the 1989 FA Cup final. I mean, yeah. I mean, it is almost like we've only won one more European Cup than Forest.
True, yeah.
And it is true that English teams dominated that trophy when the standard around the rest of Europe was pretty shit. But at the same time, Nottingham Forest, 2 European Cups.
Absolutely.
I grew up
that way. Yeah.
One of my best mates as a kid was a Forest fan, and I grew up. I loved Brian Clough. Loved Brian Clough as a kid, and the more I know about him now, the more I like him even more. And what's so mad about the Brian Clough Forest teams is there are so many players that a lot of people probably younger than us won't have heard of because they were good for Brian Clough and fucking useless everywhere else. Tommy Gaynor, Phil Starbuck, Nigel Clough, even Peter Davenport, Gary Birtles, even Des Walker was crap when he went to Italy.
Yeah.
Lee Glover. There are just so many. Was it Brian Rice? There's so many of them who did absolutely nothing as soon as they left Forest, but somehow Brian Clough had them playing like world beaters. I mean, really, Roy Keane is one very few exceptions to that rule.
Very true. Yeah, transporting out of Forest to somewhere else doesn't really work.
And he loves Brian Clough. He loves Brian Clough as well, partly because he hates Fergie. So he loves answering Brian Clough to the best manager you played on's a question. But Brian Clough's a genius, so it is a legitimate answer.
Is Sean Dyche a genius? I don't know. They didn't have to do much, but they did fight for every single ball, Forest. And I think that was noticeable. Basically, from minute one, they were aggressive. They were trying to win second balls. I think the thing I was thinking about this game beforehand is how much will Amorim try and change it up? Obviously, a lot of long balls in recent games. It's brought him some success. Didn't think against a low block that was likely to be successful. Much in the game in the way that against Brentford, it was completely pointless. And United do have this kind of weird dichotomy in results. When we have more possession, we get pretty bad results. We're averaging under a point a game under Amorim when we have more than 50% possession, and much better when we play on the counter. I don't know, this game didn't quite work out like that. You know, the long balls were a waste of time. I mean, almost universally. The front three didn't play well. I'd say none of them really played. Like Cunha and Mbeumo looked knackered. I'm not quite sure why. And Sesko, every touch, you know, the second one was a tackle. Basically, he had a bad game yesterday, Sesko. I'm not sure what was up with him. And I don't know, some of it was a little off with the fluidity that we've seen in some of the recent games. But look, as you say, they scored off a corner, which is nice, you know, controversially. We can talk about that. And they came back into the game after going down, despite, you know, long periods when Forest were probably the better side. So some character there, despite a pretty mediocre performance.
Yeah, the point you made about the second balls and stuff is I was interested to see how United did against a team that physically likely to be able to compete in the second balls. But actually, I felt like United did change it. We saw way fewer long goal kicks. There was a period after just before 5 minutes, I think it was, where they keep the ball really for quite a long time. They work their way out of defence, they move it about, and I think what we're going to see with Amorim's system, what I hope we're going to see is bits gradually being added on and improving. And though it is going to require some midfield and probably another wing-back adjustment for it to look really like he wants it to look, I felt like in the first half, we were in pretty much decent control of the game. Obviously, they had a fair bit of the ball and they had some of those moments to get the crowd going, but I wasn't generally that fussed. I didn't think they were going to score, and I did think that at some point we were going to score. And what you said about the front three, I agree, they were all pretty shitty. But at the same time, all three of them still had their moments, which is kind of almost what you want from a front three, because they won't play well in all the games, but they've got to be a threat in all the games. And I actually think they were.
I mean, I did worry before the game a little bit about the physicality, especially in midfield, because obviously Elliot Anderson's having his sort of, I don't know whether you'd call this his breakout season, his best season to date.
He's a player.
And he's physical, and he's, you could 100% see him in a United shirt.
He is almost perfect for that position in this team. I don't think he's the perfect player or anything like that, but I watched Forest. He was someone I knew was good at Newcastle, and then I was surprised when they let him go, even though it was a PSR fiddle that made them let him go. And then I saw him various times Forest last season. He was excellent on almost every occasion. There was a game I was working on for The Guardian where I think they were away to Spurs, and he was absolutely brilliant in that game. And then I watched them against Porto, I think it was, in midweek, a couple of weeks ago. And I only watched for 20 minutes, and he absolutely dominated that 20 minutes. I know Morgan Gibbs-White got player of the match, but I think I've heard him announce that. But I thought he was the best player on the pitch yesterday by absolutely miles. And what I like him for this particular position for us is he does a bit of everything. And if you're going to play in a two, so I think Adam Wharton's a really good player. I don't think he's right for this system, and he's definitely not right for the system next to Bruno or Mainu, say.
Yeah, the combination of profiles is interesting, isn't it? I wrote my Substack this week on Casemiro's resurgence and what they've, his kind of rise and fall and rise again. I thought he was excellent yesterday. Obviously, getting the goal helps and all of that kind of stuff, but they've limited his role in order to get the most out of him. And also changed Bruno's role this season significantly, not just moving back into a number 8 position, but how they use the ball. I mean, you talked earlier about number of long balls from the goalkeeper. I was just checking it up. 23 long balls. I think that's a little down from the keeper, 42% launch. But the 3 players who play the ball long in the United side are Lamans, Bruno, and Casemiro. And that's the midfield goal now, is either to bypass it or when it is in midfield, get it forward as quickly as possible. Amorim said it in his pre-match press conference, 1 or 2 touches, get the ball forward. It's very old school, and he was quite open with what he was saying about that. And I do wonder, once you think about progressing this central midfield, whether that is the long-term plan or not.
I don't think it is. It can't be.
It feels like a sticking plaster, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't have a midfield. And I mean, it feels like, it's so funny when you see him like last week, that footage of him driving into training, smiling in sunglasses, where he looked like I would feel after a long session for about the last 6 months mentally. But it feels like he's adapted, not the last minute, but probably not that far away from the last minute. If we never got beat by Liverpool and lost yesterday, he wouldn't be far off getting fired, would he, really?
I mean, probably realistically, I know that Ratcliffe came out and said we'd like to give him 3 years, but at some point the pressure builds and builds and builds, doesn't it? And those 3 wins on the bounce plus the Chelsea win had relieved a massive amount of pressure, clearly. And
he doesn't have midfield conductors, so he's found a workaround, and that is the workaround. But yesterday, as I said, I wasn't worried that we were going to get out physical, out muscle before us, because I think we're quite solid now like that. It was more that we've got an advantage over a lot of teams in that aspect. And if you take that advantage away, it's back to that Jack Black thing about take away what your opponent does well. If our physical advantage isn't there, then what do we have? And the answer is down the left-hand side, not enough.
Well, clearly, and I don't want to pick on Diogo Dalot just because we pick on him every week, basically, but he was remarkably shit yesterday.
He was poor yesterday. We'll deal with the goals in a minute, but it's not even so much having to go at him. He's fullback, and there are lots of other fullbacks. If you put, I don't know, United have had good fullbacks. Put Wes Brown there, a wing back, or John O'Shea there. People who've had good careers at United in good United teams, winning medals. They wouldn't be good at this either. I don't think Dallow's a particularly good fullback either, but
on the wrong side and at wing back, and asking him to produce something both defensively in which he made a mistake for one of the Forest goals, and going forward, which there is just absolutely nothing.
And what that means is, you saw it yesterday, that Anderson was not playing really in the middle. He was playing closer to the Forest left and our right to look after Mbeumo. And in just the same way that previously teams used to funnel us down our right because we have Wan-Bissaka and Anthony or whoever, now they're trying to funnel us down the left because they know that we've got less there. And Cunha, one of the reasons I think we're not seeing as much from Cunha as from Mbeumo is because he has less support.
True.
And so I feel like we might have a solution to this problem in the offing. First of all, I thought Luke Shaw in the first half yesterday was excellent. So many interceptions and challenges and blocks that were important and well timed. And I think we've seen this with him before. Like when he has a run of games, he's a really good player. And so I really want to move him out of left centre back. But at the same time, I feel I've absolutely got to move him out of left centre back when Martinez is fit. And I'd be thinking about doing it even now and putting Heaven in there, because it's not, we can't forget about half the pitch. We can't leave a player as good as Cunha to be feeding off scraps. And I know Cunha wasn't good yesterday, but even then, he's still making things happen. He's got this beautiful way of running with the ball where he almost doesn't change his stride pattern when he's dribbling, and the ball's almost hidden under his feet in a way. And he keeps it so close to his body. And just if he had some help, I think we'd be seeing quite a lot more from him.
No coincidence that Marcus Rashford's best season was when Luke Shaw was pretty much fit the whole campaign. I do worry with Shaw, if you moved him to left wing back, which he'd do a very good, we know he's good going forward, right? He would do a much better job than Dorgu, who knows where his ceiling is. It's hard to say just yet. Or Dalot, we know where he is. We definitely know where his ceiling is.
Probably at the White House East Wing.
yeah, that's right. Collapsed in a pile of rubble. But would Shaw break down? Would he, if you ask him to do a much more physically demanding job, which getting up and down a wing back, it definitely is, than left centre back where he doesn't have to run much, would his body break down and would we end up losing him? And I assume that's the part of the calculation here. Because otherwise, why would you make your team demonstrably worse by not playing the best possible combination?
But I think it's also because the three that played yesterday, I thought De Ligt was quite good again as well. The three that played yesterday they're doing, I mean, they're sort of doing okay and that the results have improved. We don't look watertight, but we are not bad at defending the box. And I felt, as I said, like, we can't take away the 5 minutes where we concede the 2 goals. But apart from that, and it felt like, I know we blamed Diallo for the second goal, but that second goal was also random chaos of football kind of goal as well.
Yeah.
That ball could have gone anywhere. It so happens it falls to their guy in front of the goal. And obviously you want to see more from Diallo at that point. But at the same time, I could also look at that goal and say, I'd find it quite hard to blame that really on anyone, because if Diallo launches himself at it, then what? Like, he could just as easily concede a penalty and get sent off as anything else.
I know, but if we can find something to pin on Diogo Dalot, I'm all up for it, to be honest. No, I'm kind of kidding, but I don't know. I've had enough of the guy, and I've never thought we'd see him at left wing back ever again.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
And I know this is a cheap social media kind of hit, but did you see Alvaro Carreras' goal for Real Madrid?
I fucking did. It's just, imagine any of United's left backs doing that. Eric Ten Hag, man. That guy should be in the Hague.
I mean, we binned off that guy to have a season of Lindelof and Amrabat at left back, and now Patrick Dorgu, who may turn out to be a good player or not, but it's hard to say right now. I'm leaning on not, but we've had 30 games. I
actually thought that he was sort of better when he came on yesterday. That he was involved in that, like when the goal came, and I thought we were going to score. I thought they might score as well. Like, I didn't think at 2-1 that it was going to finish 2-1, and I didn't think that United were going to finish with 1. I thought we might lose 3-2 or something, but I thought that actually when Dorgu came on, we looked more threatening down the left-hand side.
Well, of course we're going to be more threatening.
Might be game state. Might also be game state, but yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some of the goals. United's goal, header from Casemiro. I mean, he's still a real threat there, isn't it? Of course, 5,000-word think pieces in The Athletic afterwards about whether the ball was a millimetre in or a millimetre out. Let's change the rules and bar that one, because you could bar everything you want to.
And also, if you think about this, right, do you remember when Sesko crosses and it hits the defender and goes behind, right? And he gives a goal kick. Now, the only difference there is they didn't defend the corner properly. There was another time when they get a corner that wasn't towards the end.
Yeah, exactly.
The only difference with that and the goal is we defended the corner properly.
Yeah.
And these are just things that happen, and I can see why maybe that Sean Dyche, if Sean Dyche wasn't a football manager, he'd be one of those speed awareness instructors. He's really got that demeanour of officiousness and entitlement and injustice. It's just, we had one last week. Also, fucking it's a random game. It's hard to officiate, and you surely understand this. And it wasn't a corner. I think we could say with absolute certainty it wasn't a corner, because it looks like the whole of the ball's over the line because none of the ball is touching the line, but the circumference of the ball on top is not over the line. It's not a corner. But and then he did, I guess he did in his interview say, nevertheless, well, we do have to defend it properly. We did say that. But it didn't really seem like one to get a massive hard-on about. But
well, no, because you can't complain about something just because the outcome is not the way you like it, right? And I don't mean in terms of the ball over the line, not over the line. But as you point out, Forest got a corner late in the game where it should not have been a corner, right? And they got a different outcome. And so one thing is bad and the other is not. That's not right. Why is there not a 5,000-word think piece in The Athletic about the Forest corner that they got?
Right? Because the corner's not a goal. It's not like a red card or a penalty where you can say that was a ridiculous decision and It starts there and it ends there. Like, it's just the decision itself that has affected the outcome of the game in the material way. Giving an incorrectly awarded corner, there's still several things that have to happen thereafter. So, yeah.
That is part of football, isn't it? I mean, you could put sensors on the line if you really thought, but it's a hell of a step away from a goal, not goal, because then you'd have to have sensors across the whole of the line. And why not do it for throw-ins as well in that case? And then why not stop the game for every fucking decision and let VAR it, and it'd be 4 hours long, but everything would be correct or something like that. I find all of this pretty much nonsense. Maybe it's just controversy. For the sake of it, I'm much more offended as a United fan by United switching off for 5 minutes after half-time and not defending a couple of plays that they should have defended much better, right? And you go from being good in that first half to falling apart in 5 minutes in the beginning of the second half and letting Forest have an awful lot of the ball in the second half, right? It shouldn't have been like that. And you can't blame that. You can't blame that on Ruben Amorim or the system or anything like that. That is a couple of bad defensive errors, switching off, chaos of football, all of that kind of stuff. But could have defended that better.
Their first goal is obviously the exact problem with having Amad at wing back. And we've decided that is a risk, not only worth taking, we don't have an option but to take it, because without him, it's so difficult to create with just 3 attackers. So he does need to get, I do think he'll get better at that. He's not going to grow, but he definitely was capable of doing more than he did. But he's not suddenly going to develop a defender's instinct in 3 months or whatever it is. Like, it takes time. So I'm with it. He should have done better, and that was really the mistake. I mean, he didn't need to that. It was still a good header as well, actually, in fairness. But he does need to get better at defending the back post, and on the basis he seems unlikely to get worse the more he does it. So I think he will get better. But that's one of the problems with Amorim's system, really, isn't it? Is that the wing backs have to be attackers, but they've also got to be able to defend the back post.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I can't say I have analysis of Sporting and whether they had a similar problem. And of course, it is just completely because they had the best squad in the league. They typically had 60% possession and they just didn't face those defensive challenges quite as much. And they were able to play Kenda and another one, like much more attacking players in those wing-back areas without getting punished all the time. It's one of the inconsistencies of the system, as you say. I'd much rather have Amad there than Diallo or Mazraoui, because that link up with Mbeumo is pretty promising, right? It wasn't brilliant yesterday, but the ability of one of them to go inside and the other to go on the outside gives the opposition an awful lot of problems to deal with.
I'd also, in that triangle, want to see more from Yoro. We'd started to see from Martinez just before he gets injured last season that he sort of began to appreciate that he was a spare man. So with the goals against Liverpool and Fulham, where he gets the ball and then he hits the box because there are 2 of your mates behind you and probably a midfielder as well, and that is enough. And so I want to see more of that from Yoro.
I don't think he's ever going to be quite the same quality of passer. At least, the brilliance of Martinez's passing is that he's really snappy with it. He's quick with the ball and he fires it into people. But the ability to come out of defence with the ball or without the ball, we had seen signs of that from Yoro before he got sort of inexplicably dropped by Amorim this season. And I do like that about him. I don't think he's going to ever be a world-class passer, but his ability to move into midfield and come forward with the ball, as you're saying, like with Martinez, where he scores that brilliant goal at Anfield last season, that I like. I think we're going to see more of that from Yoro.
Yeah, and it's not just bringing the ball out I want from him. I want him in the box.
Right.
And you see the Arsenal defenders do it now. I think there was a bit on Match of the Day about that last evening, actually, where they've got Calafiori turning up in centre forward positions from fullback back, and because he knows that there are men behind. And so part of this system is about creating overloads. And because you don't exactly have the overloads in the way that the teams are set up to begin with, you have to create the overloads with players turning up in places they're not meant to be, whether it's a centre-back going into midfield or whatever, or a wing-back in the box. But I think that Yoro needs to be running past Amad sometimes, because that's sort of how the system's meant to work with the three centre-backs. And I do feel like he's got it in his locker. I agree with you. He's not as good a passer as Martinez. And what Martinez also has is if you try and block the pass, he'll shimmy past you. And if you try and stop him running, you'll pass. And he makes it really difficult for defenders. And I agree. I'm not sure Yoro will ever quite be that, but I do think he can make more of a difference in the opposing box and in and around, shall I say, in and around the box.
In and around. Yeah, very good. I mean, I guess it's just something about the team that we didn't collapse in that second half. Could have happened. And brilliant goal from Amad. I mean, it's one of those kind of freak things, really. The clearance and just a fantastic finish. But that's what you get when you have an extra attacker on the pitch, right? If that had been Diallo there, it's not going in.
And someone that can do that. And I mean, it reminded me two goals it reminded me of, actually. It was Scholes' goal against Villa and Zidane's goal against Leverkusen in the 2002 Champions League final, because the ball's sort of coming down and you know exactly what they're going to do. And the question is literally, can they do it? And no part of me thought Amad was going to do that. And
I mean, brilliant goal, brilliant moment for the Amad, who's had to reinvent himself again. I don't know what the kind of ceiling is with Amad, because he's got some brilliant moments, but he's often not in the game enough. And in theory, he's going to be a spare man a lot of the time, right? A wing back. It's just hard to say right now, because Amram has kind of ditched that part of the model, which is to create these overloads, at least in the whole pitch, right? It's really in the final third, not through the thirds, that you can get Amad in the game more often. Would you go spunk a load of money on two brand new wing backs next season? Or are we happy with him as one? And we're definitely going to need someone on the left, right?
The left is...
That has to be an option.
If I was thinking about signings now, I'd probably get one midfield player on the basis that we've got Bruno and Mainu for the other spot. So even though I might want two, I'd get one and I'd get a left wing back next. Amad, I mean, the thing that I'm kind of conscious of that we sort of talk about him like he's 17 and he's not, he's 23.
Yeah, he's been around a while. It took him a long time of loans to Sunderland and Rangers and so on, and a lot of injuries as well.
So the question is, how much can we expect him to improve? I mean, technically he's good, and manager was talking about him. They're working on him coming inside, shooting, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like the impudence. I like the imagination. Like the relationship with Mbumo, and he is going to improve his back post defending. So I think the thing about wing back anyway is that you've got to have four who you can trust, who you're happy to play. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, we've got one, if we count him as one. Yeah. Maybe Shaw. So I do think that even if we decide that Amad's good enough, we still need another one for that side.
Yeah, for sure, because it's sure shit not Diogo Dallo. And it's not Mazraoui either. And it's especially... No, and it's not Mazraoui because he's just not physical enough and as good a footballer as he is. And I mean, who knows where Diogo Leon gets to? He's very early in his time. He scored a goal the other day. He's still 18. He's built like a brick shit house. But so you imagine he's got the physicality for it. But the rest of it, we don't know. Harry Amas is having a good season at Sheffield Wednesday amid the chaos and the seat ripping outness of Hillsborough these days.
It's a grim do what's going on at Sheffield Wednesday. And so I actually have, on that point, seeing as it's come up, I do not understand why there is not some kind of fund that is paid for by the richer clubs to bail out these other clubs, because ultimately it should be the case that, and it's not because therefore these clubs should go and spend like mad, they should be spending controls so that it's not possible for owners to do this. And obviously the owners also should be vetted so that it's not possible, so you don't end up allowing the kind of people that would do this to buy clubs. But the fans of Sheffield Wednesday are not responsible for the actions of the owner of Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah. No football club should ever go to the wall. It's not, because there are fans that rely on it for their existence, really.
Yeah.
And there's so much money in the game, and what it would take to bail out these clubs is comparatively so fuck all that if every Premier League club tossed in £1 million, it would be fine, and they all can.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Good morning, Crust. It's a great day to be a bread brother.
Ugh, mornings are not my jam. Or jelly.
Oh, come on. Stop loafing around.
I just woke up feeling hollow inside.
Psst, just grab one of the new Morning Uncrustables sandwiches, like Bright-Eyed Berry or Up and Apple, filled with 12 grams of protein and tons of deliciousness. Crust, what are you eating?
It's just granola, not even yogurt.
No crust, no fuss. Uncrust your mornings.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, if there is ever a deal between the Premier League and the EFL, it will include spending controls, right? The EFL won 25% of Premier League money. I don't think they'll get that offer ever from the Premier League. They had it in 1992 and turned it down, and so they've paid for it ever since. But it has to come with spending controls because it is like fucking heroin, spending money for championship clubs. Almost every single one of them spends 100% of their income on wages and loses money because the prize they're chasing is so big. Now, that is not the case at Sheffield Wednesday. It's just, it's a bad owner who would rather the club went into administration than put any more money in and would not take an offer. Now, apparently there are a whole bunch of offers on the table at Sheffield Wednesday.
You would think because
they should be all right. They are probably going to go down, but
they're also one of those clubs that if you were someone who wanted to invest in football,
you could turn it into
the clubs that you might think, what could I do with them? Sheffield Wednesday,
Absolutely.
Previously Leeds, where you're thinking, I'd think about buying those if that's what I was going to do. And when I talk about a fund, what I mean is that if you just take an amount a month of all the Premier League clubs, then that will be enough to stop this from happening. And you might just keep it, like whatever, put it in a trust, put it in a high interest account. I don't care. But it should never be the case that a club goes to the wall. Same with Reading and Diallo. It should never be the case that a club goes to the wall because the owner's an arsehole.
Mm-hmm.
And no one in football should want that to happen. And no one in football really cares too much about stopping that from happening because we see it happen and then we see it happen again. And Forest today is a good example, really, that Marinakis is not someone who should be allowed to own the football club. And what happens if he gets bored? I mean, I don't know what the caveats are in terms of his ownership agreement. So because they also should never be the case, an owner leaving in some kind of huff or whatever, that should also not financially jeopardize the club. And I don't know if there are rules about this. I imagine there are these days.
Well, there aren't in the owners and directors test because the test is basically, are you a criminal or not, which is an irony with Marinakis, of course. But the new football governance bill gives quite wide latitude to that football regulator to start intervening. Now, whether they will or not, we'll find out how much teeth they really have. But because it's an act of parliament, like they can enforce like good ownership. We don't know whether it will actually have teeth. And what we also know about regulation in football is that football clubs can afford lawyers and sporting bodies cannot. Right now, obviously Sheffield Wednesday with Defon Chansiri fucking over the club, he's not going to exactly chuck millions at lawyers like City have done with the Premier League. But it really does depend. You can have the authority to intervene, but whether you actually can enforce it because you have the number of people. We've all seen the job postings and stuff like that. They are not paying so much money that they're going to get the best people in football in that. The deputy director gets paid like 80k a year, which I know in UK terms is a decent salary and all of that kind of stuff. But compared to other executive positions, right? So, will they have enough resources? It depends. Will they have enough teeth? We're not sure. Will they intervene in cases like this? We don't know, And there's been plenty. I mean, we know our own club, right? You have owners who want to fuck you over. They can most certainly fuck you over. And we've had 20 years of it, unfortunately, under the Glazers.
Right. And so, yeah, I think that there just needs to be a way of protecting the clubs, because, I mean, we all know this, and I hope that's what the football regulator is going to do. It's going to recognise that football club is not just a business, it's not Sanos or whatever. And so they need to be protected, and they even need to be protected even if you've got good owners. There can't be a situation where an owner leaving changes the makeup, the economic makeup of a club.
Well, if the Glazers left, our economic makeup might be better, of course. But all right, so where do we go from here? I mean, it's not back to the drawing board after that performance against Forest by any means. And we've got Spurs away next weekend, I think it is.
Yeah, it is. And I think, because I was kind of, when I was watching this game, I was actually thinking about watching Andy Murray play tennis, where in the time where he was getting good, if he could beat the best players and he could beat most of the rest of the players, but if he played like Fernando Verdasco in a slam and Verdasco played his best match, he might beat Murray. And I felt like that was kind of what I was thinking watching United yesterday. We'll know we're a good team when we go and play those games and we don't play well. The other team plays their best game and we still win. That's sort of quite a good measure of quality, I think, because with the players that we have, we can beat anyone on a good day. We can beat all the best teams. We beat Liverpool, obviously, but we're good enough to beat City. We're good enough to beat Arsenal on a good day. The thing that makes you good is when you can beat everyone else when everyone else plays their best game or something close to it. And Forest, I bet Forest haven't played better than that this season.
I'm sure they haven't, no.
And we were good enough to take a point. We almost won it at the end. And on which point, the Amad goal, I think, praise also to Delist for that, because he ducks. And if he doesn't duck quick enough, he takes that in the kisser. But something else that I've started to notice as well that I think it's worthwhile mentioning is that the last 3 or 4 games have been not fucking dreadful to watch as entertainment. Like not the highest quality, but the Liverpool game was exciting. I mean, someone who doesn't support United said to me just the next day, I bumped into them, that was a properly enjoyable game of football. Yesterday's game, properly enjoyable game of football. Brighton, good game of football. And that was one of the reasons I was getting pissed off with Amorim also, was not just that the team was shit, but it was just everything about it was shit. You knew there was no chance you were going to see anything good.
Yeah.
And we're trying to go forward. We're trying to score goals. The way that we go, obviously, it'd be good, a bit more sophistication and variation in the way that we do it. But also, I think yesterday, I could see that. I could see it coming. Like, we did try and pass it about more, and we were doing it quite nicely in the first half. So I can see him bolting bits on, but the entertainment level has improved massively in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Do we get entertainment at Spurs? It's going to be interesting, two teams hoofing it at each other. So the proper 98s football, that'll be. Spurs had a good start under Thomas Frank. They've rode it back somewhat, haven't they, in recent weeks? So not in the best of form. Be interesting to see what we get from them.
Well, I guess in a way it's not that dissimilar to where we are, except we've got better players. I mean, Kudus is a good player, and they've got some all right players in midfield as well, but they don't have the level of imagination and creativity that we do. And if we play well, we'll win. And that feels like it's the case against most teams now. If we play 8 out of 10, we'll win.
We're also moving up to the January transfer window, so it feels like we're going to just stop the summer, but now we're looking at a couple of months until the window, so it's going to be speculation every week. Reckon United will do any business? It seems unlikely. I feel like Amorim's been asked about it a couple of times now. So
it's old age, Edward. The days go slowly and the years go quickly, I'm afraid.
They're counting the clock down to the end of days. You know,
that is where we are, unfortunately. Do I think? Well, I wouldn't be shocked if we signed a wing back. I think it might be difficult to get the midfielders that we want. On the other hand, if I was in charge of the money and there was the money, I'd be thinking, well, what chances, if they can get the player that they want, what are the chances that player gets Champions League? Because then it's worth it, right? Financially. I would.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Champions League versus nothing is definitely worth spunking 50, 60, 70 million on a player.
What we know they won't do is they won't buy a stopgap. And that's a good thing. They won't buy someone who's better than what we've got now, but isn't good enough for the future. So I think that's good. I think, as you said earlier, it's probably impossible to get Anderson out of Forest mid-season, and it would cost in excess of 100 million.
And Marianakis to threaten the guy's family and all of that kind of stuff,
we could get Baleba possibly. I mean, Baleba we probably could get in January if we paid enough. But actually,
just not the 100+ million. I mean, he's not having a good season, by the way, Baleba. Although if you look at his data, he's still very high on the defensive actions. His passing range has dropped somewhat this season. So
I think Anderson, he's quicker than Anderson and perhaps a better ball carrier. But I think Anderson's better at pretty much everything else. Anderson is probably, if I was going for a Premier League player, I'd probably go for him. I mean, I know there are players abroad as well, like Boadi is someone who's meant to be excellent. I'm not, is he at Lille somewhere?
Lille, yeah.
I'm not in the position to say what he is, but I mean, we can see what they want. It's sort of almost the Fergie method as well, is signing the best player who doesn't play for the top four or whatever in the Premier League. Like Fergie would do that regularly. Roy Keane, Paul Ince, Dimitar Berbatov, Teddy Sheringham, and so on. And it feels like we're getting back to that now with Cunha and Buma, who are the best players in the Premier League last season that don't play for Liverpool, City, Arsenal players we can't really buy from.
What do you make of neither Mainoo or Mount getting on the pitch yesterday, nor Xerxes? I mean, the two subs were just defensive, which was a little odd in that game. But also, connecting it to the transfer discussion, really. I mean, Xerxes probably wants game time. He's never going to get his 5th or 6th choice for a number 10 spot, probably. And Mainoo just never plays any minutes at all, or if he does, it's late in the game and he can't impact it, or in the Brighton game was not very effective. So, he surely will want game time, and we can't lose a midfielder, though, right? We just haven't got enough midfielders to lose one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Xerxes, maybe they would want to try and keep for AFCON, because I don't think they'll want to put Bruno. Yeah, and I guess the other option is you put Bruno in the 10 and then you play Mainoo. I was watching the game yesterday and I'm thinking, I want you to put Mainoo on for Casemiro because we need a goal. And I didn't mind not making changes for the sake of the changes. I mean, that's quite welcome, actually. And I guess he felt like the players that were on the pitch were the ones who were best equipped to find an equaliser. And he was right, they did. But when kind of with sort of 20 to go, I'm going to get Mainoo on for Casemiro because we need to find a goal from somewhere. It doesn't massively look like one's coming, although I think we'll create something. And if they're defending deep, his feet around the box are helpful. And the fact that he didn't bring him on, it doesn't look good, does it?
Well, when you look at the data and look at Bruno and Casemiro's role, or specifically Bruno's role, is get the ball forward quickly, right? 23 long passes or whatever it was from Bruno. I mean, it's every single game now. So the model in midfield is either bypass it or get it forward quickly. That is not Mainoo's game at all, right? He is not a progressive passer of the ball. He's a connector. And so if I was him and his people, I'd be saying, well, I'm never going to play this season, so I'm definitely not going to the World Cup. Is it worth giving? What does my future look like? Under this manager, there is no future, right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if he's saying, hey, I need a loan away, or possibly even more than that, because what is your future if a manager just does not have, you're not the profile for a manager as good a player as you are, right?
And I think possibly the thing with Mainoo, and that we may have to accept, we have to accept it right now, but may well be the case, is that could it be that he is elite at the things he's good at, not that good at the rest, and the things he's good at aren't quite enough?
Well, not enough for this manager anyway, because of the game model, for better or worse. What is he not elite at, right? He's not elite at ground coverage. Now, if you're in a team with two in midfield, ground coverage is really important.
And he's not elite at passing either.
No, he's definitely not. He's perfectly neat enough, but as a progressive passer, we've talked about this before, well before Amorim joined, that we wanted to see more of that.
And better at finding the ball.
But yeah, better at finding the ball. So the positions he takes up on the pitch, the ground coverage, and then the passing, be braver with it. Because I'm sure he's perfectly good passer, or snap the sideways passes in, but it's like take more risks with it. Now, of course, some of this is about what are the instructions, right? Bruno getting the ball forward long is an instruction, right? So every time he misplaces a long ball, don't complain at him. He's been asked to do that. It's clear. Now, when Mainu comes on, I don't know that either he's clear or the manager is clear about what he is going to provide. Because in the Brighton game, when he came on, he was pushed quite high up the pitch, which caused all sorts of problems, specifically with Bruno in a defensive role behind him. We see the same with Ugarte. When Ugarte comes on, he's the counter presser, right? So he goes around like a headless chicken trying to press everyone, which leaves Bruno as your spare man at 6, which is madness. Why would you ever want that, right? So there's a tactical issue, there's a profile issue, and then there's a kind of development issue. And if you're a young player and you're playing 5, 10, maybe if you're lucky 20 minutes every other week, I don't see how you develop as a player. So there are issues there, and we want more out of him, but I don't know how we're going to get more out of him when he never plays.
That's it. He's not going to improve, and that's what happens also when you get knocked out of the League Cup like we did, and you're not in Europe.
So you write off a year of your career, or and players tend to not want to do that. Now I don't know. I mean, are there a lot of players who are now the better teams in the country that are happy to be second choice most weeks? I guess there are. I mean, Norgard went to Arsenal this season, captain at Brentford, and now he basically never plays. I guess there are a few players like that, but when you're and it's okay when you're older, but when you're a young player, you're just writing off years of your career. It's mad.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that there will at some point be a full and frank conversation if there hasn't already been one, because, like Mainu's obviously will have some questions if there's nothing he can do to get into the team. It does sort of feel like that.
All right, well, I guess that's it for this week. You can catch us on YouTube if you're listening to this. Hit the subscribe button so we don't have to chase you around the internet every week. Patreon.com/NQATpod for our extra show. We'll come up with something this week. It's a year of Ruben Amorim, Daniel.
Oh,
1 year anniversary yesterday. Well, that was when he was announced. He didn't actually join the club until the 11th of November, and his first game was on the 24th. So pick the anniversary of your choice.
Oh, so, yeah.
All right. Very good. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.